He left 2 weeks after our son was born. No note, no reason, just the echo of a slammed door and a newborn's cry breaking the silence he left behind. I remember holding my baby tighter that night, his tiny chest rising against mine as if reminding me someone still needed me. When I told my parents, they didn't offer comfort. They offered judgment. They said I'd brought shame to the family. And then they did what I never imagined they could. They told me to leave. So I did. It was raining that night when I stepped out, carrying my child and a bag of baby formula. I had nowhere to go, but I had something stronger, a quiet fire inside me that whispered, "You'll remember this." He wasn't always the man who walked away. When we met, he was kind, patient, and had this way of making the world seem small, like I was the only thing that mattered. We used to dream on the floor of our first apartment. No furniture, just plans. He promised me stability, family forever. But forever came too soon. The warmth in his voice cooled. He stopped looking at me like I was his home. The first time he stayed out late, he said it was work. The second time, he didn't bother lying. It wasn't hard to find out. People talk, and the truth loves attention. He was with her, a woman he once called just a friend. I didn't scream. I didn't confront him. I simply watched him slip into a new life like ours never existed. Watched my name fade from his conversations. Watched him post photos online, her hand where mine used to be. I cried once. Then I stopped. Because grief is temporary. But memory is ammunition. I worked day and night. Office by day, freelance by night, nursing my son between deadlines. Exhaustion became my armor. Every sleepless night hardened me. Every paycheck saved became a step toward freedom. When people pitied me, I smiled. They thought I was broken, but I was building. Quietly, patiently. He didn't know I'd gone back to school. Didn't know I'd started a small design agency from my laptop. Didn't know that in 5 years, that small agency would sign the very company he worked for as a client. He didn't know until the day he walked into the meeting room and saw me at the head of the table. I remember the look on his face, shock disguised as politeness. He greeted me like a stranger, but his eyes flickered with panic. He was the project manager. I was the owner. I didn't need revenge through words. I had it in the silence of that moment, the realization dawning on him that I had climbed higher while he felt comfortable. I kept it professional. Every meeting, I looked him in the eye, emotionless. He stumbled through presentations, nervous, sweating. He couldn't meet my gaze for long. Eventually, he made a mistake that cost his company the deal. And when I canceled the contract, I smiled just enough for him to see it. That was enough, but life wasn't done yet. By the time my parents called, my agency had grown. My son was 7, sharp, funny, and everything good I'd ever done. They said they wanted to visit. I said, "Of course." When they arrived, they froze at the gate. The house wasn't what they expected. Modern glass, white walls, a garden my son had planted. My mother's eyes welled up. My father stayed silent. Inside, my son's laughter filled the air, bright, proud, unbroken, and then he walked in. The man who'd left us, uninvited, awkward, carrying regret like a shadow. He'd heard of my success, wanted to make things right. He said he missed his son. I looked at him, then at the boy who didn't recognize him. "I think you're mistaken," I said quietly. "My son already has a father." He blinked, confused. And then he walked in, my husband, the man who had raised my child as his own. Strong, calm, kind. He placed a hand on my shoulder, kissed our son's head, and asked if the guests wanted tea. The silence that followed was the sound of justice served. My parents looked between us. The family they once abandoned, now whole. My ex looked like he was watching his own replacement, realizing too late that life had moved on without him, that every choice he made carved his own exile. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. The truth was loud enough. He left soon after. My parents apologized through tears they should have shed years ago. I forgave them, not because they deserved it, but because I did. Later that night, I stood by the window watching my son sleep. The moonlight touched his face the same way it had when I held him in that tiny rented room years ago. Back then, I promised him I'd build us a better life. Tonight, I realized I already had. He found out who took his place, and I finally took mine.